On a controversial day in the Amgen Tour of California, Lance Armstrong is accused of taking drugs again by Floyd Landis, and then moments later he crashes out of the Tour and is on his way to hospital. Yesterday, the Amgen Tour of California raced into the heart of California, trying to break the grip of overall leader Dave Zabriskie. 4 riders blazed a trail towards Modesto, while others made mistakes that left some lying on the pavement. The wind played its part as the big pack splintered, leaving the yellow jersey of Zabriskie to work hard to stay in control. In the end, though, the sprinters had their moment, and Italian Francesco Chicchi stole the show. Zabriskie kept his lead and is ready now to do battle again. It's stage 5 of the Amgen Tour of California, next on Versus. Today is the turn of Visalia to host the opening day in the Amgen Tour of California. Its backdrop here, this beautiful town, is the Sierra Nevada mountains, and then it's onwards to the oil fields of Bakersfield and the southern gateway to this town. 100 miles of bike paths are here. This is where the riders will come today as they hit the finishing line. Hello everybody and welcome to the roads here, along hilly roads today. I'm Phil Liggett, alongside me is Paul Sherman, and yes, the race today is off to a controversial start. Not only has Armstrong gone out, but Floyd Landis, who didn't get accepted to ride this race, has sent letters to the organisers, to the UCI, to everybody, and accused just about everyone to be involved in drug taking within the sport of cycling. I think it's very sad, and it's all unfounded, of course, but the question to Paul Sherman is, what do you think, Paul?
I think both you and I have believed in the innocence of Floyd Landis, and he told us that he hadn't been involved in any drug taking at all, and now 4 years later he comes back and says, oh well, actually, gentlemen, I was telling lies, I did take drugs. Now, how can I attach any credibility at all to a man who's changed his tune after 4 years? A little bit difficult for me.
Well, a lot more to come on this, of course. We've also got footage, too, of Lance's crash, which is taking him out of this tour. But first of all, let's catch up with this week-long race. Have a look at yesterday's highlights as we go out to stage 4 start here. The riders enjoying warm sunshine and, as always, getting onto the road. But the crashes are the nature of the day here, I'm afraid. George Hincapie just missing out here as they all piled up. And this wasn't the only crash of the day.
No, it certainly wasn't, Phil. About 20 riders going down. None of them really very badly injured. Most of them getting up and getting back into the main field. But in the outskirts of town on the run-in towards the finish, the first one went down here. And Jaroslav Popovic, one of the lieutenants of Lance Armstrong, he went down on the left-hand side of the road.
And it was the next time around the town, there was another crash. This time Armstrong just coming to a halt. He was delayed by the fallen rider. He got going, he finished, and he didn't lose any time. He was actually checking with the referee there to make sure that would be the case. Then it came down to the big sprint.
The big sprint, everyone expected the man in the lime green jersey, the leader of the Herbalife points competition, Mark Cavendish, to get the win. But look at the other green jersey on the left-hand side. That's the Italian Francesco Chicchi.
And let's look there at our electric performance of the day, which was presented by Nissan Leaf. And what a fast finish it was. He got the better of Mark Cavendish, unaccustomedly being forced back into only 3rd place behind 2-time second now this week, JJ Hayedo. Let's go out onto the V Australia podium here as the girls welcome Chicchi on board. Look at the size of those leg muscles down there. I'm not surprised he won, Paul.
He is a very rapid sprinter, Phil. He knows exactly what to do, but there was no change at all in the overall standings because still Dave Zabriskie leads the race.
Let's have a look then at the Home Depot overall standings at the start today. It's been like this for 2 days now. Zabriskie heading up by 4 seconds, Michael Rogers. 6 seconds, Levi Leipheimer. 21 seconds, Peter Sagan. Mark DeMar having a great ride there in 5th. The top 10 being completed by young Peter Stettner here. And they're all only a few seconds off yellow anyway. Well, that is the setup now, and it has been a very competitive race, but there are still a lot of bike riders can win this race, and every day now we seem to get progressively harder as we've got the time trial coming up, Big Bear Lake today, and by the weekend we have some tough circuits as well. Let's remind ourselves where we go to today.
Well, the riders leaving Visalia in the morning for a longer southerly journey down towards this finishing town where we are here in Bakersfield. But I tell you one thing, if we look at the profile, the first part of the course is very lumpy indeed and ideal for an attacking race. And I think with everything that's going on, everyone will be looking for a big attacking race. There you can see where the climbs are. But look at those little circuits down towards the end, because there's a very nasty little climb up to the finish line. And that may well, on this occasion, Phil, outfox the sprinters.
Yeah, I think that's right, you know, because we've been out and had a look at the finishing climb. They climb it 3 times. It's going to be a tough one. These are the Rabobank checking the stats. There are 2 sprints early on, 2 King of the Mountains. There are 120 of the 128 riders in at the start today. That's changed already with Armstrong going out and the Australian Stuart O'Grady. Last time we were here was a first-time finish in Bakersfield at Visalia. It's a second-time start for them. Yes, and let's have a look what happened as they left Visalia this morning. The strong winds were blowing. They're talking of 50-mile-an-hour gusts today, which could really hurt the riders. When we get up to the live action, you will see the field is pretty badly split up. This is the Herbalife signing. Mark Cavendish, beaten yesterday, signing in. He still leads in the Herbalife sprint competition, though. Breakaway from cancer, the man that was the star yesterday, voted the most courageous rider. He certainly was. Tried to win the stage on his own in the end, so he got the blue jersey there. The California Tourism, Travel and Tourism King of the Mountains. This was taken over by Ryan Anderson. The Maillot Jaune, the Amgen race leaders jersey. Big cheer for Dave Zabriskie. Second day in yellow for him. Signing in here, the 3-time winner of this race, Levi Leipheimer, having just had his press conference. Now on the start line was Lance Armstrong. On the rollout here, big crowd in Visalia waving the riders away, and the sun was shining here. It wasn't quite the same situation at Bakersfield, but we were promised the sun would spread down the road about 121.5 kilometres, and it would join us there. Unfortunately, at mile 13, the cameras weren't there, but they quickly got to the scene. This is the aftermath here. Armstrong fell in a huge group of riders, including Chechu Rubiera. We'll show you him in a minute, and if you don't like the sight of blood, then just turn away for a little while. But it was a heavy fall by Rubiera as well. Armstrong got back into the race. He rode for about 20 minutes. Then the little abrasion got bigger and bigger on his eye, and he abandoned. This is Rubiera here. He really did skin himself down on the road, but he's still riding in the race. Other riders come along to check him out. This is what happened. It got worse and worse as the blood started to come through, and the decision was taken. He had to abandon, and in fact he was driven away for x-rays to the hospital. No news on those just yet. Very disappointing though. It's been a rough day for Armstrong, very much so, and for the sport of cycling, from the revelations, which are all at this moment the word of one man, Floyd Landis. But as whenever you do controversy in cycling, then I'm afraid it does hit the headlines more than the sporting aspects. This beautiful picture here through the valley is brought to you on HD, and if you haven't got it, you should have it, because it does bring the pictures to life, I have to say. Absolutely fabulous view today. The race is well split up just now. Our V weather, the forecast is sunny, and it's got sunny at the finish now. Temperature nice 70 degrees. The winds are still light at the moment. The gusts haven't materialized at all. Let's have a look then as we go along the road. The first sprint of the day, Herbalife, very important. Michael Rogers pinches a 2-second time bonus here, which has moved him within 2 seconds now of the overall race lead. At sprint 2, he wasn't there. Menzies, Jeremy Powers, who rode well yesterday, is there. Paul Martin's in 3rd place. The first climb, Paul Mock is back in the action. The boy from Davis getting the maximum points on the old stage road. And that breakaway is still clear. 6 of them got clear soon after Porterville. And looks like we're getting up to the action here now. These are the 6 leading riders, and they are out in front. Now the HTC rider, yes, it's Mark Renshaw, the normal lead-out man for Mark Cavendish. Been given his own head today and is in the breakaway. Christian Nierman, Hooverlink, Paul Mock, Ben Day and William Dickinson of Australia. Those are the leaders right now. Well, they're not showing any times. They're cracking up. They're the big news at the moment, Paul, is Mark Cavendish, the sprinter, and the King of the Mountains leader, both trapped in a group where, last I heard, it was over 9 minutes back of the breakaway. So they really have lost out on the climb of the old stage road, which was won by Paul Mock, the rider from Davis in California, where the race started its 2nd day. Popovic here, he fell yesterday, but he seems okay. He lost a bit of time, but of course they're only thinking of helping Levi Leipheimer win this race, so the other Radio Shack riders can lose as much time as they like as long as they stay in the race. And we can't say the same now, I'm afraid, for poor Lance Armstrong, because the side of his eye started to pop as he was continuing his race back into the pack. So there we are, the gap is 4:15, Paul, 6 riders in the lead, and the main men that matter in that chase peloton.
Yeah, there's the Amgen Tour leader there, just a little bit further back down the main field. A quick sight there of Dave Zabriskie. Mick Rogers riding at the front, very attentive early on to get himself that 2-second time bonus. And if it hadn't been for Robbie Hunter, the South African sprinter on Garmin Transitions, well, we may well have had a new leader out on the course.
Well, of course, we will have, these are live pictures, and we have plenty of coverage and news as it comes to us. We'll pass it on to you during our transmission. But you're right, Robbie Hunter there using his sprint as best he could, because that was what I would term a cheeky move by Michael Rogers. He's now only 2 seconds behind the overall race leader. Look here now, these are all narrow roads for most of the day now until we get down towards the oil fields at Bakersfield. This is the main field and the main chase. We'll go for a break anyway and then rejoin us, but stay with us today. We're going to have lots of news. Jersey update. Let's remind ourselves who they all are. And there we are, the yellow jersey still with Dave Zabriskie. The most courageous rider yesterday for Breakaway from Cancer was Lars Bohm. Anderson there, Ryan Anderson, the Travel and Tourism King of the Mountains. And he's off the back, by the way, today. Mark Cavendish in the Herbalife Leaders jersey. And the best young rider still Peter Sagan in 4th place overall in the Rabobank white jersey. They are the prime leaders in the event. As we started today, we're now looking down at the main field containing the yellow jersey and the white jersey, but not the red or the blue. They are behind the race, the red or the green. Well, those 4 jerseys indicating, in fact, only 2 of those jerseys are left in the peloton. The red and the green are now behind by some 9 minutes today. As we look here at the Team Type 1 riders, they're already in a pretty strong position, this group now. They've reduced the size of the field considerably over the first 80 miles of racing. There's Jens Voigt of Saxo Bank there, concentrating very hard. He never misses a move. He's in this advanced party of the main peloton. But they've shed a few riders. There's no more major climbs of the day, but the undulations here hurt the legs, especially as you're now 5 days down the road in the Tour of California. And the big climb tomorrow of Big Bear Lake will take the riders into the heart of the Sierra Nevada mountains. And then we have the time trial that follows the next day. And that might well decide the race. But, you know, the last weekend is also extremely difficult. This is a tough tour now.
Very tough finale to the tour. It's been a hard ride right the way down through the whole of the state of California, but I have to say it really is an incredible climax. The last 3 days give the riders a little bit of a taste of everything, Phil, that they want to. Dave Zabriskie, I have to say, in his yellow jersey is looking very calm and collected, despite the fact that Mick Rogers has moved in just a little bit closer to him by getting himself a time bonus at one of the intermediate time spots out on the course, and he's now just 2 seconds off the overall lead.
Yes, it might change today, surprisingly so. The crash was happening around the same time as the sprint, and so there might have been some confusion, but Robbie Hunter was wide awake, the South African member of the Garmin Transitions. He knew the best he could do was take the 3-second win bonus and stop Rogers getting that, which he did. So Rogers got only 2, but still he's halved his deficit, and that's a lot. These are the leaders. Mark Renshaw is the HTC Columbia rider. Grisha Neiman is the rider on Rabobank to the right of our picture here. And Kurt Hooverlinks of Quickstep, he has the blue jersey on. Paul Mock from the Bissell team, there he goes. He's having the, that was the Fly V rider passing through. That was Ben Day. And Will Dixon of Jelly Bellies. I have to say, Jelly Bellies have had a man in the race lead every day on this race, and today being no exception. Will they stay away? Well, there's a possibility, of course. They've got 4.5 minutes. The others will be more of an in-battle for that leader's jersey. There's just a chance this group might stay away today.
Well, they'll have to be very careful if they want to start calculating times, Phil, because Paul Mock, in fact, starting the day in 25th place, is only looking for 1 minute and 49 seconds. So I think Team Garmin Transitions have got a little bit of work to do down towards the end, because they'll have to pull that gap down to less than the 2-minute mark if they want to make sure they keep Dave Zabriskie in the lead. Because none of the riders from Europe actually know very much about Paul Mock. They don't know how capable he is in his climbing ability. They don't know what his time trialing ability is like. So you can't give him a 2 or 3 minute advantage on a stage like this.
I know 1 or 2 commentators who commentate on American television don't know much about him either, Paul. I must say, until this year. But he only came into cycling, I think it was 3 years ago. He's studying a PhD in mathematics, so he's quite an intelligent bike rider, and he's been a runner as well. But he's a good bike rider. So we're just, this looks like we're up to the white jersey. There he is. Peter Sagan sits in 4th place. I thought he was on the telephone there for the moment, just scratching his head. He really is the revelation, I feel, of the whole 2010 season, ever since he started in the Tour Down Under in January. And he's enjoying his cycling, that's for sure. And his brother started as a professional now as well. So he is in 4th place. His ambition this year is to keep that white jersey to the finish. We'll take another break. Rejoin us. Welcome back to the Amgen Tour of California. We're looking at the yellow jersey here of the race leader, Dave Zabriskie, the only man this week who successfully worn it for 2 days straight. And this is his 2nd day as he goes out. It's his 3rd day now as he goes out. And he hasn't made any mistakes here. But, you know, it is a case of enjoy while you can in that leader's yellow jersey, because in a stage race you don't have to win any of the daily stages, but you must be Mr. Consistent and get round the course in the shortest possible time. That's a good cue, isn't it? Let's go to our MBT Inside the Peloton story.
When trying to win a stage race like the Amgen Tour of California, the main consideration is figuring out how victory is achieved over the course of numerous days. Throughout any stage race, you might see riders take home stage wins after stage win. But while stage wins are great, they don't always add up to overall success. The ultimate goal is to earn the Amgen race leader's yellow jersey. But time is not measured on a single stage. The clock runs through all 8 days of racing, and the winner is determined by the lowest aggregate time. Often a champion may not even win a single stage on their way to overall victory. Instead, those in contention for the general classification must use pacing and strategy in order to achieve the overall success.
The yellow jersey competition is very complicated. You just have to, day in and day out, always keep the guys who you feel might have a chance. You have to keep them in your sights. And if you're in a time trial, if you're in the mountains, you have to figure out how to make up time on them. Any day you can end up in the yellow jersey, or you could lose it.
That's our MBT Inside the Peloton. Well, Dave Zabriskie's also won a stage, as we saw the other day, and for the first time ever he's won the stage and worn the yellow jersey in this year's Amgen Tour of California. Well, at the moment the 6 leaders are holding a 4:45 gap officially, 4:30 on our screen over the peloton, and the Mark Cavendish group is now 13 minutes back of the leading riders on the road. Well, I'm glad they didn't turn right there. We'd have raced off into infinity, and it looks like we're drilling for oil just about all over the area around Bakersfield today. It's also where we weren't seeing it yet, but you might see it on the running. We'll race through the orange groves on the way into town a little bit later on. There's the names of the leaders for you. And I think Mark Renshaw, somebody has said in today that Mark isn't firing that well. It's not a stage for him. Go and see if you can win for yourself, and that's why he's in the breakaway. And Cavendish is now over 13 minutes back of the leaders.
Yeah, but Phil, I think it's great to see Mark Renshaw in the breakaway like this, because Mark had a very difficult start to the season trying to overcome illness, and in fact this is one of his first serious races back, and it's good to see that he's got himself back to top competition on the international circuit, because to me he is one of the fastest lead-out men in the world. I remember seeing him ride at the Goodwill Games in Brisbane, I think around about 2001, 2002. And he was a great track rider, a very accomplished track rider in the early part of his career. And he was up against Marty Nothstein, the great American track sprinter, Olympic medalist, Olympic gold medalist. And Mark had absolutely no fear of bumping and barging against Marty Nothstein in the sprints to the line.
No, he's fast. Well, he comes from Bathurst in New South Wales in Australia. And that's where they have the famous Bathurst motor car race. So I guess speed is in his blood. But today he's got his chance to win for himself, and it would be a great result for him if he could. You may recall he finished second on the last stage of the Tour de France last year because he moved over to allow his teammate Mark Cavendish to win the stage. And when he could so easily, he had won it himself. But there we are. It's all about teams and teamwork in professional cycling. And some of these big teams have been weakened by the crashes today. Sad to see that Stuart O'Grady has crashed and gone out. No report on his condition, but we don't think he was badly hurt, but we don't know. And Stewie is out at the moment. He'll be building up now for his crack again at the Tour de France. Mark Renshaw, I think, has done enough this week to prove to his team that he has got over the sickness Paul Sherwin's talked about, and he is now building himself up ready to be back in the Tour de France in the month of July. It looks like Darren Lill there for Fly v Australia, another South African rider in this race. All the English-speaking nations now putting top riders onto top teams around the world. There we are through, I think this is Marin County we've entered at the moment, Paul. 4:25 the gap. Just looking at the freewheeling boys here. Jaroslav Popovic, number 6 there. The BMC team. There's George Hincapie, the Stars and Stripes, the American champion. He missed the crash yesterday, and I'm happy to say he missed the crashes today as well, so he's okay. We'll take another break. We've got some interviews coming later on with Lance and Johan Brunel about the controversy. That's the finishing line, but now as we look out, remember this is our stage today. It's the 5th day of racing in the Amgen Tour of California, and today it's presented by Rabobank. As we're looking at the peloton trying to catch up, they're not 5 seconds off to 4:20. Well, at the start this morning, there was a massive media, as there always is when Lance Armstrong has something to say and somebody else is saying something about him. So let's go now to the start line this morning for our Home Depot interview.
This has been going on for a long time. The harassment and the threats from Floyd started really a couple years ago, and at that time we largely ignored him. Johan can speak more to what Floyd exactly wanted from us or from the team, but finally a year or so ago I told him, I said, listen, you do what you have to do. We have nothing to say, we have nothing to hide. They started again with some consistency and with some energy about a month ago before this race, when Floyd continued to email and text and call and harass other people, myself, Johan, Dave Zabriskie, Levi, Andrew Messick, the CEO of Amgen, right around the time that they were trying to get in this race. Floyd made pointed threats to Messick and to the leadership of Amgen that if he wasn't let in the race, he was going to say X, Y, and Z about their product. But I think I would remind everybody that this is a man that, first of all, it's from our perspective and from what's gone on at U.S. Postal and Discovery and all of those tours, we have nothing to hide. We have nothing to run from. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to ask them. But I'd remind everybody that this is a man that's been under oath several times and had a very different version. This is a man that wrote a book for profit that had a completely different version. This is somebody that took, some would say, close to $1 million from innocent people for his defense under a different premise. And now when it's all run out, the story changes. So we're just as, I should say we're a little confused, maybe just as confused as you guys, but with regards to the specific allegations, the specific claims, they're not even worth getting into. I'm not going to waste your time or my time. I think history speaks for itself here. We've all followed this case for the last 4 years. We followed Floyd winning the Tour. We don't know what he did or didn't do when he was on that team. We can only speak about what he did when he was on our team. We followed the case. We followed all the drama with regards to the case. And now we see something different. So that's about it.
Well, straight talking as ever, Lance Armstrong. He raises a good few points as well. But let me remind you too, you can tune into the Daily Line here on Versus 10 Eastern tonight, where we'll give you a lot more on this very controversial subject. Everybody's got their own opinion, but at the moment, one man is accusing everybody, and no proof is being put forward. And so, until somebody proves something, really, it is all hearsay. Well, we're looking at the open road at the moment. This breakaway getting on with it. Sadly, Lance Armstrong no longer in the race. He crashed out at the 13th mile today and has gone to hospital, but we hope he's okay. As we look down here at the open road, Paul, let's just talk for a little bit. Lance Armstrong making his press conference this morning very hurriedly when everything happened overnight. You know, Lance, he doesn't mix his words, but he has some very good points when he says that Floyd Landis took people's money. He got nearly $500,000 or more to try and fight his defence, and he's always said he didn't do the drugs in the Tour de France. And now he's written a book saying the same, and now he suddenly switches and he's accusing Lance Armstrong of taking drugs as well. If Johan Brunel is teaching them all how to do it, he's even accusing cover-ups by the world president of the UCI, Pat McQuaid. I mean, what is going on? And it makes you wonder, is this man now creditable or not?
Well, I have to say, Phil, for 4 years, both you and I actually believed that there could have been a mistake in the test that was put onto Floyd Landis back in 2006. And I think for 4 years, we've pretty much believed that he was innocent. So now to turn his tune and all of a sudden say, well, sorry, guys, actually, I did take drugs. I was taking EPO at that time when I was a professional cycling. I'm not sure that I can attach a whole lot of credibility to the statements that he's made. Especially, it's rather strange when somebody accuses everybody else of being wrong and himself as being right.
Well, he has sent emails to the organisers here and to the race sponsors, Amgen, who actually manufacture the drug EPO for the right reasons, I might add, which is to help cancer cures. And that's why this race is here. This is why Lance comes here, because he fights for cancer. But the fact is, one has to sense it might be sour grapes, because his team was turned down from riding this race, and he warned them he would say things. But no proof is apparent yet. Just looking here at the peloton, let me remind you that the Cavendish group with the King of the Mountains, Ryan Anderson, is now 15 minutes behind the race leaders on the road, so their day is done. The peloton here still a little bit infighting as they keep a good high tempo, heading up behind those 6 leaders. We'll take a short break. Dave Zabriskie can think about his future today. Here we are back on the stage 5, 122 miles today. We're right through, I think it's around 90 miles we've covered now. So about 35 miles still to go. We're headed away from Visalia. We've only started twice. We've never finished. And we're heading for a first-time finish in Bakersfield today. We're now not too far away from Los Angeles as we continue our journey south through the state of California. But about 110 miles away once we get down to Bakersfield. Good solid tempo riding as we cut to one of our marshals checking out at the back of the race. The shadow of the sun is there. It's always good to see because we moved the race to May to avoid the chill and cold air, the rain and likely snow of February. But we've had our share of rain on this race. Not a lot, but enough to give us a very damp day into Santa Rosa. But it looks as though finally the racing, the weather is getting it together.
It was the kind of weather we expected. This county we're going through at the moment, Phil, is Kern County, and it's one of the most important counties in the state of California because, in fact, it produces 81% or holds 81% of all of the active oil wells in the state of California and is responsible for 1/10 of the oil production of the whole of the country. So a lot of money comes out of this little county.
I thought it was all coming out of Texas. I learn something every day. 3 minutes 50 seconds. The gap is slowly coming down. Grisha Nierman here. And once tipped by a famous Australian coach who comes from Germany, Heiko Salzwedel, to be the next big star. He hasn't quite come through. He's kept his places on the top teams around the world, but he hasn't quite come through the way we did think that Grisha would. But nonetheless, he's in the breakaway for Rabobank, who have a huge commercial interest in this event. So he will want to try and get them a stage win. They tried hard yesterday, didn't they, Paul, to win the stage, even when Lars Bohm got caught.
Yeah, they had a number of flurries of attacks straight over the top. Ideal tactic to do there. The only way to try and outwit the sprinters. And it may well have created that little bit of confusion for Team HTC Columbia, who were doing everything they could to try and give Mark Cavendish his second stage victory. I think this breakaway is doing an excellent job here at the moment because looking down here, Phil, from the helicopter, it's real Wild West country we're looking at here. It's almost cowboy country, isn't it? But the main field, despite the fact that they're hammering along at close to 50 kilometers an hour, are having a hard time eating into the advantage of that 6-man breakaway.
Well, it is cowboy country. This is the romantic United States here. We're in the state of California throughout. Occasionally we nip over to the neighboring counties, but this year we're staying in California start to finish, as we've also made the race that little bit harder. It's a very diverse state here. You can go to the high mountains, or you can spend all your days coursing down beautiful beaches all the way down to San Diego and on into Mexico. As the cars down there keep to the right of the road, but the peloton can go where they like. These roads totally shut down by the highway patrol till the races pass through. Quite a logistical problem today because it's well split up. This is the main field containing the yellow jersey and the top 3 riders in the Tour, but the red jersey of King of the Mountains and the green jersey of Points are now a long way behind today. Mark Cavendish and Ryan Anderson didn't make the split on the old stage road, which unfortunately was very early on today before we came on air, so we can't show you pictures from that when the split happened. We didn't see them ourselves.
No, we didn't, but now you can see Team Garmin Transitions are taking this very seriously indeed. They're whipping up the pace. They've got a little bit of help as well there coming in from Liquigas, because again, with the kind of finish, Phil, that we've got down towards the end, I would think Liquigas are thinking about a second win in a row for Peter Sagan. It's a great finish for Peter Sagan. We've got to go over, though, the final official climb of the day, which is where the riders are starting to line themselves up for. And that's the climb to the rather aptly aimed Round Mountain Road.
The Round Mountain Road, that's next on our horizon today. We're just about to start the climb. It's only categorized 4th, which is the lowest of all the mountains, so don't expect to see it rise up and slap the riders in the face. There's the blue sign, say 5 kilometers, that is to the summit of the climb. So I think you might find it's quite a nasty little drag, this, and once over the top we'll have covered 100 miles or 162 kilometers of the day. Good fast tempo riding. Lonely old place out here today, isn't it? Nowhere for the spectators. We're a long way from inhabitation, and they're just getting on with the job in hand. The peloton still chasing them down. They might be a bit closer when we get back. Welcome back, and don't forget to experience the Tour de France like never before. Go to Versus.com, access the Versus Tour tracker, where you can watch every stage live, online and in HD. You can also rewind, pause, fast forward every epic moment. It's as close as you can get to the Tour de France without a passport. For a limited time, get 21 days of the Tour tracker for only $27.95. It's available now on Versus. Well, we're on to the last Californian Tourism King of the Mountains climb today. Round Mountain Road, they call it. You have so much romantic names, don't you, for the King of the Mountains here. 21 miles to go as we go over the top of the climb. 4th category climb today. The first climb was won by Paul Mark from Davis today. That man is having a terrific Amgen Tour of California for sure. He is in the breakaway, so watch out for him as we get up to the top. And I am hearing 12 minutes 30 to Mark Cavendish's group as we speak, so he's not coming back today, is he? These boys getting on with the job in hand. This is the hard-working Boinch with Jens Voigt in the black jersey in the centre, and on the right with the red top, that is Andy Schleck, the champion of Luxembourg, who on the crucial day a couple of days ago lost about 15 minutes, while the previous day it was Cancellari's teammate who lost a similar amount of time. 2 big stars there, no longer in the hunt for final honours. He'll look to make amends, perhaps with a good display, maybe even tomorrow on the longest stage of the race, but not a good sign for his form for the upcoming Tour de France.
Might just have noticed there on the right hand side, number 86, that was Brett Lancaster, the erstwhile leader of this bike race, alongside his teammate, the Irish rider Phil Danon. Now, it's interesting to see that Brett is in this breakaway. This is the leading, in the group, I should say, but in the breakaway, Mark Renshaw's been sitting at the back for the last couple of moments, and I think he may well be starting to nurture chances of possibly thinking about a stage victory this afternoon. With 2 kilometres to go to the top of Round Mountain Road, and that time gap is still hovering at the 3-minute mark.
Well, one thing's for sure, they're going to be clear by the top of this climb, and watch out for 106. That's Paul Mock, the Bissell rider from Davis in California, which was the start of stage 2 of this event. And he started that event wearing the Californian Travel and Tourism King of the Mountains red jersey. He's lost it now, but he's trying to get it back on his shoulders here. He won the climb of the old stage road, which was 3rd category. This doesn't carry quite so many points as a 4th category climb. but he'd be looking for those points. I'm not too sure there what was going on. What's going on there?
I know exactly what was going on there. There's a little bit of a joke that sometimes guys play on each other, and that, in fact, was Carlos Barredo who was doing that. He was holding on to the saddle of the guy in front, who was all of a sudden saying, God, this climb is getting a little bit harder. It's getting a bit harder. And I have to say that I knew why he was doing that, because I've done that myself on a number of occasions just for fun.
Of course. Why else would you do it?
No other reason. But it's quite funny to see a guy thinking, oh, really, I'm not going very well today. Then all of a sudden you figure somebody's holding on to your saddle.
The boys in the stripes just gone through. They are the referees. They wander around the race route, just keeping an eye for infringements. Had they seen Barredo do that, they would have might had a word with him, but then they would know it was a joke. They wouldn't say anything at all. But if they thought it was for serious, then he would run the risk of disqualification, of course. 106 there is Paul Mack in the breakaway. It's pretty barren scenery out here, with summer literally just beginning in the state of California. And that peloton climbing here up the Round Mountain Road at quite a heavy pace. You can see how fast they are actually getting up the road here. They've got the lead to inside 3 minutes. Mark Cavendish and Ryan Anderson, two of the classification leaders, are 12 minutes behind the peloton at the moment.
Well, the big teams, I think, are switching off and leaving it up to the healthcare squad. But I think what will happen is once we get over the top of this climb, the real chase will start in earnest, because that's when the guys will start to realise they're getting to the flatter part of the course, and they'll want to try and pull it back together before they get to this finishing circuit around Bakersfield, which I think is going to catch one or two riders by surprise. They all know there's a little climb up to the finishing line, but as we went over to have a quick look at it before, it's going to really be a shocker.
The question is, I wonder if they know what it's really like. Now, very often what happens is once the riders have made their start, some of the team's helpers will drive directly to the finish on a different route, of course, and they will go and look at this climb, and they will have telephoned it back to the team manager, and the team manager, with his little radio links to the riders, has no doubt described the climb to the riders themselves if it's going to be important to them. We've got a little attack here shooting off of this. It looks like Fly V has shot off the front. And I wasn't too sure who it was. Is it Ben Day?
Yep, Ben Day was the man from Fly V Australia in that breakaway, and he's obviously...
Why would you do that?
Not quite sure at the moment. Maybe he's just going away to get himself some points, but he's being chased by another Aussie.
Yeah. Aussie's having a great time around the world. I've said it a couple of times this week, but I have to keep on saying, because Richie Porte is keeping hold of that pink jersey in the Tour de France. And anybody that comes from Tasmania, they say they're not Australian. So let me tell you straight away, Richie Porte comes from Tasmania. And so too do a couple of other Aussies in the Tour de France, like Matty Goss at the moment as well. But Ben Day doesn't come from Tasmania. He comes from the main island, which is generally called Australia.
Yeah, rather a large island just down towards the south. I think a lot of people would like to call it a continent in this day and age, but it does look like an island when you get the atlas out.
It is an island. It's got sea all the way around. OK, guys, don't get my Twitter address. I don't want to hear from the Australians today. Mark Renshaw. Nice to see he's marking Ben. He knows the strengths of Ben as well. They've raced together a long time, these two. And they decided to maybe go in tandem here. This may have been a little ruse they've discussed, saying let's pick up the pace, leave the rest and see what we can do. Because there's no doubt Renshaw, a former world record holder on the track at 4,000 metres in the team pursuit, could very well find the speed in his legs to hold the peloton off today.
So just again, Phil, going past the old nodding donkeys there, it's a chance to remind you that 10% of the oil production of the whole of the United States comes out of this single county. It really is quite amazing.
Well, I'm sure we could do with a little bit of oil back in England right now. Just looking here, Ben Day. This is good to see Ben make this move now. He's and this is it's a good ride for the team as well. Doesn't look under pressure there, does he, Mark Renshaw? Just he's answered the move. I wonder if he realised it was coming, but he's very quick to jump on it. He's only won 8 races, Mark Renshaw, in his career, but as I said, he's been an outstanding and an exceptional rider on the track. But now he's turned over to winning bike races here. His main job is to help Mark Cavendish win bike races. Yeah.
Well, I could say he probably has the responsibility for a 50% share in all of the Cavendish victories, because the victories that Mark Cavendish had at the Tour de France last year, I have to say, were pretty much laid down to the preparations of this man, Mark Renshaw.
Here we go then, 180 metres to the top of the California Travel and Tourism King of the Mountains. Last one of the day, although it's not the last climb of the day, last one that counts. I don't think they'll sprint it out. These two boys have not been exactly enjoying a great week in the mountains, so they'll just keep up the pressure and share the points. And there it goes. It's Day for the record book ahead of Renshaw.
Well, that move there, Phil, I think by Ben Day, who went clear there, he realises that in the group behind, everybody will be very concerned about Paul Mock. So they may well see that the main field will chase down Paul Mock and catch that group. And then the remainder, the survivors of the breakaway, have got a chance of being given that little bit of freedom to survive on the day. But once you've got two Aussies together, there's also then a big chance of success, because those two riders will know each other very well. They've raced a lot of their career together around the world, and they won't be holding any holds back, and they'll try whatever they can to succeed in front of the main field.
Two leaders over the top. The clock is running now. We'll get some accurate time checks there. This yellow jersey group currently at 2:25. About approximately on the main field, all under the escort of the teammates of the yellow jersey of Dave Zabriskie, and that's the way we expected. Now I wonder if there's a plan here today, because Andy Schleck is looking a lot more aggressive on the right of our picture, having maybe recovered from his one bad day which cost him any hope of victory in this race. He will still want to leave this race with a stage win for sure.
No, I think Team Saxo Bank are certainly looking to get themselves a stage victory before they get down to the end. This is not the sort of stage that would suit a man like Andy Schleck, and he may well be riding for one of his teammates here this afternoon, because he's got some teammates that are in pretty good form. Matty Breschel we saw ride well in the early season one-day classics, and it's the kind of finish that may well support his riding style.
Well, as we see here, time to get a drink at the back of the race, and this is Brian Van Borg, the hard worker of a few days ago. We came down onto the beaches. Paul Mock has gone over the top of the mountains. We didn't see him do it, but he has gone over in third place. So he snatched the last points available on that fourth category climb. And they are still split up as far as we can ascertain, which means that the other two, I think Paul Sherwin's absolutely right. They've tried to rid themselves of Paul Mock, hope the peloton preoccupies itself, and those two go for gold. That would be the obvious thing to do right now. They've got no reason to catch those two leaders, because they're not going to win the Tour of California, and that's all some of these boys are thinking about.
Now you see how they've bunched up together now. The main field, as they keep themselves as a compact group, will then, once they've gone over the top, start to organise the chase and hope that they've calculated properly to try and pull back those leaders. But it is at 32 kilometres to go, still 2 minutes and 35 seconds advantage for the front men.
And the two riders are still clear. Now the bunch about to pop over the summit here now, as they might just have slipped over actually, but they've dropped back a little bit on the climb. You see, there was a bunching up. They're just revving up now. There's no points available for the peloton, but you can see a lot of movement here as we see it happening. Two leaders are still clear. Paul Mock is with the remainder of the breakaway, so four have grouped up as well. And now the peloton, the clock we see is running on the first riders over the top. And as you can see, it's run out a little bit. They've gone over, in fact. I'm hearing from race radio that the gap is now 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So that's the official time gap. We missed the crossing there, at least I didn't see it. So if you want a drink, now's the time to get one, I guess. There's the little give me a lift up the mountain. Okay, it's eyes down now as we head towards the town of Bakersfield, and a big finish today. Yes, happier days there for Lance Armstrong, who sadly crashed out of the Amgen Tour of California at mile 13.5 today. We'll update you on his condition as soon as we know ourselves, as we look here at the peloton now, and this is a descender's delight through beautiful countryside here. It's not the place for spectators. We're up in the wilds here, but these boys are coursing down the Sierra Nevada mountains, and it's such a great road because you can go as fast as you like. Well, these are the four chasers, you say, Paul, up between the cars. The Highway Patrol there doing a great job, as always, protecting the riders. We still have two leaders, and that is Renshaw and Day, two Australians on the attack, hoping that the peloton will give up if they can pick up the four left behind. Certainly the gap is open to 3. They're now saying, as we see 3 minutes, they're saying 2 minutes 55 from the race radio, but they're always going to be a few seconds difference because of where they all snap their watches.
Well, this big move here by Renshaw and Ben Day has actually had an effect of stretching out the overall lead. They came down to the 2.5-minute mark, and the big acceleration by Ben Day, joined by Mark Renshaw, has put a little bit of pressure onto the front end of the main field. And you look at that main field, the length of the main field is really quite incredible. Probably 30 to 40 seconds between the front man and the back man in that line. This is the remnants of the breakaway, and they've actually all of a sudden made the junction. We're back to the same scenario we had a little while back. 6 riders at the front of the race, 3 minutes back to the main field.
Right, so that little move didn't work, so I'll have to think of that again. There's not really the place now to launch an attack as we run away from the mountain. Then once we're into the finishing circuit, they're very definitely... I can't see 6 riders coming up to the finishing line for the final sprint today. There's the journey across the beautiful slopes here of the Sierra Nevada mountains, as it's not the Tour de France but the Tour of California here, racing through open countryside at very high speed indeed.
Well, this is Kern County, and it goes right up into the edge of the Sierras that we're talking about, Phil, and the other side it goes right down to the Mojave Desert. It really is a magnificent job that the helicopter pilots are doing, bringing us, as we say, images that are very reminiscent of the Tour de France or the Vuelta a España.
Just taking a drink there by the number 37, Grisha Neiman, in the breakaway. Hand has gone up here. This is Will Dickerson, an Australian rider on the Jelly Belly squad. He wants a drink. They also want a little bit of an update as to what's happening behind. They've held on to this gap now for quite a long way, but it hasn't come down. In fact, it went out slightly again.
Yeah, I think really that acceleration by Ben Day and Mark Renshaw, what that's done is it's in fact stretched out the advantage once again, and that may well, but you know, this race could be decided by a couple of seconds coming down towards the end, and it could have been that acceleration by Ben Day and Mark Renshaw there that gave them the extra seconds to survive on this finishing circuit here around Bakersfield, because this circuit around Bakersfield is going to be very difficult to organise the chase on.
Well, soon we'll be off these mountains and we'll be heading towards Bakersfield now. There's no more sprints along the road. There's no more official climbs. We've just got the sting in the tail, which awaits us on the finishing circuit in Bakersfield. Now, let me tell you a little story here. The Breakaway Mile supports Amgen's Breakaway from Cancer initiative. This was created to increase awareness of the important resources available for people affected by the dreaded Big C, from prevention to survivorship. Now, last Tuesday in Santa Cruz, Watsonville's Madeline Loomer was honoured and celebrated as the Breakaway from Cancer champion. During Tuesday's Breakaway Mile at the Santa Cruz finish, 150 cancer survivors, patients, caregivers and advocates were all there to support Madeline. We'll take a break. Well, there's a beautiful aerial view courtesy of V Australia today as we course down the river here. It keeps the lush green trees happy, at least. Everywhere else is a little bit parched here in the state of California. Well, one of the big teams in the race trying to make an impression. It's a young team growing up, this one. But we thought we'd tell you a little bit more about the only international team to come out of Canada. This is our Michelob Ultra team profile, talking about Spider Tech.
I suppose the vision for our team started about 4 years ago when I had a visit at the Canadian National Road Racing Championship. We started to compile some partners and started to build the team, and through several years the team's Spider Tech evolved.
Steve Bauer is everything that cycling encapsulates. He's kind of that true grit, perseverance, dedicated sort of guy. You know, wearing the yellow jersey, being fourth in the Tour. He was that guy that just kept pushing on and kept riding hard, and he brings that to the team.
Well, my history goes a long way back, obviously. I mean, you know, a bit of fate to become involved so deeply in road cycling. You know, I finally just decided, you know, it was the right time for me to get back in and build our own team.
To have him back promoting the sport and developing a team like this is really quite incredible.
I ended up on Team Spider Tech because last year I had a big accident. I was riding with the Garmin Slipstream team. I was hit by a car. Was wondering if I was going to get back into the sport. Was wondering what was going to happen. Could I walk normal again? Am I going to have a lifetime of knee problems? Finally realized I do want to be back in the sport. And Spider Tech is helping me get back.
When I heard his story that, you know, he'd been injured and he was looking for a team, you know, we got more involved in discussions with Lucas. We're confident that he'll return to his top.
I'm really looking forward to racing on home soil and being back in the pro peloton.
Coming across the line, that is in fact Martin Gilbert. He's one of the young riders on the Canadian squad who has created a big surprise here this afternoon.
Last year at Missouri, the win was huge for the team.
The team's had a lot of great success. That was capitalized on the fact that Martin Gilbert, he won the last stage of Tour of Missouri last year.
The last stage, I think all the team put it together and were able to help me to position and bring me like at the best position at 250 meters to go, and then I was able to finish the job and win this race.
I think what's great about Martin is he's got a real confidence in the team and to make the team, you know, grow into the future and develop Canadian cycling.
Yes, that's on the Globe Ultra team profile. Watch out for that team. Steve Bauer was without doubt Canada's greatest bike rider, and he's going to reflect himself to these youngsters now as he watches them climb up the scale too. There's the full team for you. Lucas Huser, by the way, he's the USA member of the squad, the one that did a bad job on that knee, but he is coming back. He has a great attitude as well. We've seen a few of these riders in the action already. Right now, the vast majority of that team is in this big bunch of riders here. They don't have a man in the breakaway today, and the peloton is hanging on in there at just about 3 minutes at 19 kilometers left. Fairly good average speed today, Paul, about 37 kilometers an hour, considering that these boys have had quite a hilly route, but we're not far away now from getting onto the slopes. We've got, as I say, we've got 12 kilometers, so we're about 7 kilometers from that climb up towards the finishing line.
Well, these little accelerations keep giving a slight advantage, but poor old Will Dixon, he's been having a hard time. When the accelerations come, he keeps getting popped off the back, but the fact that he keeps recovering and coming back in is an indication that they're slowing down their cohesion in this leading group of riders. If they want to survive right now, they've got to stop messing around like this. They've all got to take their turns, sharing the pacemaking at the front, because if they start slowing down like this, they'll lose huge chunks of time every 5 kilometers.
And it is being reflected now. 2:25 to the yellow jersey, which is in that big pack of riders behind. The only other rider in there is the white jersey of Peter Sagan, because the other two leaders' jerseys are now considerably behind today. And what have we got? The circuit is 5.9 kilometres round, so there's no danger of being lapped on the circuit.
Theoretically not, but maybe
yet,
for Mark Cavendish.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. That big bunch behind coming in 13 minutes back, they wouldn't be far off.
They'll be very close indeed, but the referees will be there. They'll be there with watchers to make sure that there isn't too much confusion.
They probably stop them all, I think.
Well, we'll have to see what happens, and hopefully that's not going to happen.
No.
But if they want to catch this leading group now, Phil, they're going to have to be very attentive there. Mark Renshaw really has got the legs here this afternoon. This is a Mark Renshaw who's completely come back, and he's gone once again.
Well, he clearly had a plan today, didn't he? Obviously, Mark has said, I'm having a day off, Mark. If you want to go, Mark Cavendish and all out there, if you want to do your own thing, go and do it. And he decided to go in a breakaway, maybe to test himself as well, because we know he's been quite sick and he seems to have recovered, and now he's building for the Tour de France. But a late start to the year for him, which really disappointed him. But now he's back, and he's a big test for him today, Mark Cavendish. And here comes the counter move. Is that Ben Day? A bit late, but he's going.
Well, he realises this is the chance, and he's seen there's been no reaction from the other guys in the group, and he's decided now he wants to try and get across the gap there. He's got the gap. He's got the Belgian rider with him from Quick Step just onto his back wheel there. They've got the gap that they're looking for, but Renshaw, you know, Renshaw hasn't won a race for a long time. You've got to go right the way back to 2008 to see his victories. His last victory was at the end of that year in the Franco-Belge. But I can't really remember, Phil, when he's ever actually won a breakaway from a solo performance.
I don't think he has, but the thing is, he's been a great solo speedster. He started out life back 10 years ago now, in the year 2000, when he became the Junior World Kilometre Champion. He's a little bit more than 1 kilometre to go, but he's got pure speed. Now, it might be, they might just nail him back this time, but what will it do to the rest of the breakaway? He's going to keep the pressure on, and here comes a second kick now from Ben Day.
Well, Ben Day's the man who made the move to get across there, and watch out for the experienced Grisha Neerman in the orange jersey of Rabobank there. He watched that split happen and made sure that he was at the right end of it, and he's now come up, and Mark Renshaw once again This Phil is being pulled back into the fold. But watch out for Neerman. He's decided, bang, he's going to go straight over the top. The last 2 days, Rabobank have been looking for a stage victory.
Yes, and this is a breakaway now that believes it can survive to the finish, unlike in the days gone by. And here comes Will Dixon again. He's making a hard job of it, but he's not unhitching here. He is getting back up to these 6 riders. The gap, though, is down to 150. So even though they've been countering the attacks, now they're slowing again, while the peloton are riding very consistently.
No, they are. There's another move gone straight over the top now. This is becoming a very aggressive race. It looks as if it's the rider from Quick Step.
Yeah.
He's waited for that moment when they've all paused. They've all just gone a little bit out of breath, and he went straight over the top.
That's good Belgian tactics for you. Sit on the back until you think you've softened them up and then hit them hard. And Kurt Heuvelink has gone, the Quick Step rider. Looks over his shoulder, and look at this.
Well,
no reaction.
Tell you one thing, Mark Renshaw was probably thinking to Ben Day then, well, you chased me down, why don't you go and chase him down as well? But Renshaw's gone. In fact, he's seeing that he's obviously got very good legs here this afternoon, Mark Renshaw. He wants to make sure that nobody rides off to an easy victory.
Well, we're inching our way closer now to the suburbs of Bakersfield. Remember, we have take off the 12 kilometres on the circuit. We are about 4 kilometres to the start of the climb up to the finishing line.
Looks like Christian Neerman now has seen the possibility of a stage victory, and he's gone. If I was Mark Renshaw, I would wait for a kilometre or so. If he's got the legs that he seems to be showing us here, Phil, he needs to. We're going along the bottom of the course. We're actually on the finishing circuit now, but there, Renshaw's gone.
Had to come. Now, he reminds me of the old days of Stephen Roach. He's got that lovely pedaling style, all the power going into those big legs. The top half of his body just doesn't move at all. Terrific position, Renshaw. And he's such a fast sprinter, as we know. Now, look at the speed he's using. He just climbs up to that top-end speed and gets across the gap.
Well, in a very short distance, they're going to take a left-hand turn, and that will be the climb up to the finishing straight. And that's the moment when, if anybody's really got legs, they can bang a big time gap between themselves and everyone else. Renshaw now is going to take a bit of a time to recover. He will have pushed his revs right up to the top end there, right in the red limit. And now he needs to recover a fraction. There's the left-hand turn. There'll be another left-hand turn after that. And then it's this nasty little wall straight in front of you.
Ben Day trying to get across the gap, but the 3 leaders are the 3 most experienced riders in the breakaway, all on Pro Tour teams. And now we've got one from Flyvie, Australia. Dare I say, just flew across that gap.
You did, and I will accept that as a very good compliment, because this team is certainly flying all over the Amgen Tour of California. And of course, they fly from the west coast of the United States right the way across to Australia. That's what this team is all about.
Would it be non-stop, that, would it?
It would be non-stop,
okay,
yeah.
Unless there's a seaplane,
but it's only about 14 hours.
Well, these 4 riders now just coming in towards the little climb up to the finish. Our first chance to see it when we get there. They climb up to the finishing line, and then they do 2 full circuits and 2 more climbs. I still got a feeling they might succeed today. So just let's see if they can do it, as they're starting to do it. Well, as the riders here, this is Renshaw. There is the finish. Look at those flags. Let me remind you, cycling fans, to head to AmgenTourCalifornia.com. Check out the Bike Manufacturers Challenge powered by SRAM. Witness the battle between the constructors of your favourite bikes. Every stage is a fight to determine whose technology is smart and tough enough to deliver the 2010 Amgen Tour of California. Stop by daily for in-depth tech features and glance at our leaderboard as we reveal who really makes the world's best racing components, wheels, pedals and frames. Well, there's the wind. This is the breakaway. Now we're down to 4 men. Ooh, that's not a very nice road, is it? Just over the hill there is the finish line. We'll see in a moment. Welcome back to the Amgen Tour of California. Let me remind you, tomorrow we are on stage number 6, down from Pasadena, heading to Big Bear Lake. A massive ride of 135 miles and a big climb along the way. That'll come to you live tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 Central. That's something to look forward to right now. There is the Kenda 1 kilometre to go sign, but it's a little way away yet. They'll go under it twice more before they finally hit the finish. They are now on this little climb, which will kick them up to the finishing line. The wind is quite strong just now. We've got back to 5 riders in this breakaway, so we've only lost Will Dickinson. at the moment. And here he is. Big effort there by Will Dickinson. And he's going to join too. So all 6 go up the first climb together. And we'll do a hairpin left at the top. Status quo, and tomorrow's stage, by the way, starting from Palmdale. We've moved on from Pasadena as we look at a minute 35, Paul. There's the slope, which brings them into the home straight.
Well, I have to say, if they look at the top of the climb there, Phil, there's no need for any monkey business, is there?
And none at all, no. 200 kilometres at that point. And the big crowd now can run across and see the finish once the rides have passed through at this point. Minute 30. Now they're riding it centrally. This is the first time up. They've still got a minute and a half in hand. And I still think that might be enough to do the job. I hope so for their sake, because it's about time a breakaway was successful in this week's racing, let's face it.
Well, it's going to be touch and go, because they've got to ride along this flat part of the course here, through the finishing straights, down into the valley below, and come up that climb 2 more times. Yeah. And that climb is going to be very difficult the next 2 ascents. It just depends how organised the main field is at the front end.
Well, there's a super crowd here today. This is the first time that Tour of California has been to Bakersfield. The crowd haven't let us down, and they're waiting now. They've been well entertained with the riders before they came in. Now, look at the face here. This is Ben Day at the front there, gritting his teeth.
Tony Martin there in second place for HTC Columbia. He's I'm not sure who he's working for this afternoon, but I'll tell you one thing, Mick Rogers has been very attentive. Mick Rogers got himself a 2-second time bonus in one of the early intermediate sprint points. He gets himself into a place in the top 3 at the end of the day. He could steal the lead away from Dave Zabriskie.
Now, I said Ben Day there. I looked down. The art of commentating is don't look away. When you look up, you see different riders. But anyway, we were looking at the peloton there. You saw, though, the relationship between the breakaway here, who will be cheered all the way on now, because these guys really do want to stay away, and well, they deserve it. They're going through the finishing line with 2 full circuits to go now, with a gap of well, we wait for the official gap as we get there. There's the peloton. They're in the same straight now. They're strung out. Not too much damage done at the back yet, but now they know the climb. I think we'll see a very quick race.
Oh, they're going to start to speed up now. It's just inside of 12 kilometres to go. The official time gap that they're giving is 1 minute and 5 seconds, but we'll have a much greater chance of seeing that when the main field comes up through the finishing line.
We should see the clock across the road here. There's no big chase down here just at the moment, as they come through for the first of what is 3 passes. The third one we finish on the line.
Sitting right up in about 5th or 6th position there was Mick Rogers. He will be starting to sense this climb. He'll be starting to think about the race finish, because there are not too many sprinters left in this group here this afternoon. And also, Mick Rogers,
it's a hill climb. They will split time the riders. He's only looking for 2 seconds. Forget the bonuses.
2 seconds is nothing at all. I'm not sure that he'll gap a guy like Dave Zabriskie. But just 1:02 on the line, I think it was, for the peloton to the leading group of riders.
So officially, the gap on the line there, 1 minute and 1 second. 2 laps to go. This is the way down now. 6 riders have come all the way together. This is going to be a real gripper now. Shake out that lactic acid, Mark Renshaw, because the finish is about 10 kilometres away. We'll take a break and then rejoin us for all the action. That was our SunGuard stage reset. No longer Lance Armstrong in the Amgen Tour of California. This is the situation. Crash at 4 miles. 3 riders gave up. Further down, the current leaders, we've seen the breakaway. They are on the finishing circuits. They have a lap and a half to go at the moment. And they are still all together, those 6 riders, as they race towards the finishing line. See if we can show you the leaders. We're going to have to take another quick break, then we'll come back. We'll bring you all of the action right up to the line. There's still a little way out. You can see the wind is quite strong. The gap is down. It's inside a minute. These are the leaders. They're all together. A very short break. Rejoin us for the big finish and the last lap of the finishing circuit. Now, don't forget to register for the Michelob Ultra Row with Bob contest for the chance to ride a mountain stage at Bob Roll this year's Tour de France. You could also get some new bikes for you and your friends to ride in your hometown. Log on to versi.com/ultra or text ROLL to ULTRA. Right, let's get back out on the course now. This has happened moments ago. The breakaway started to split up when an attack came from Grisha Nierman. Quickly marked by Mark Renshaw and Ben Day. Dixon cracked. He went straight back to the peloton. Ben Day has tried to go alone now, blowing Mark Renshaw off his wheel as they race up towards the bell for the last lap. And now we look down on that last lap as we approach the finish. The whole field behind is almost at them here now, and looks so Renshaw also is about to be wiped out. It's our old friend Jens Voigt again, Paul, who is causing all of the trouble now as he goes at 5.5 kilometres to go.
Well, you know, Jens Voigt, he said to me the other day, I said, Jens, how can you be so aggressive all the time? You know, you're 38 years of age. You still enjoy the sport. He says, me, I'm aggressive even when I go to pick up my number from the racing start. And just look at his style. He forgets about style here at all. It's just burying himself. Bike all over the place, body all over the place. He is in a whole lot of pain.
Well, if anybody can go into pain, it's Jens Voigt. But at the moment, Ben Day has started the move here. Can he finish it off? It was a great move. He looked to be the weakest of the three riders that went earlier on. But now he's made the move that projected him into the lead here. And he's just going to breathe as deep as he can as he goes down here. Try and just get a second's relaxation and then give it 120% on the way back up the climb.
Well, Ben Day getting into that very aerodynamic tuck position, very much like a ski racer, is being chased very closely now by Jens Voigt. Jens Voigt is only looking for 27 seconds in the overall standings to create a bit of a surprise here this afternoon. He is the leader of Team Saxo Bank, with the fact that Cancellara lost time on the first day, Andy Schleck lost time on the second day. Now Jens Voigt is acting as the serious leader of Team Saxo Bank, and there he is.
Well, Jens Voigt is a very determined man. He finished second overall to Leipheimer in this race in 2007, and he was actually fourth in this race, Paul, last year as well. He has that never say die attitude to bike racing, and he's now off in pursuit, not just for the stage win, but also in pursuit possibly for a golden jersey.
Yeah, well, just check the heart rate here of Jens Voigt. That's not too bad at 152, but what's more important, Phil, is it creeps up to 160. On the descent going downhill just a couple of seconds ago, he was generating 500 watts of power. Now that is a very strong engine.
Enough to keep my house in lights for the rest of the week. Anyway, as we go down the hill here now, they turn for the last time up the climb here. One man survives from the original six that have been out front from the 60th kilometre of 195. Ben Day is round the corner, and they're not very far behind as they chase Jens Voigt as well.
Well, it's Liquigas all over the front end of the main field, looking back to see what they're going to do. But there's Jens Voigt. He's just about to get pulled back into the fold. I think they're trying to set this up, Team Liquigas, for a Peter Sagan victory this afternoon. The yellow jersey is sitting comfortably in fourth position. Jens Voigt has been swept up by the main field. There you can see Zabriskie comfortably in the slipstream of his teammates, but not far behind. There's Renshaw. A little bit further back is Mickey Rogers. Rogers may be looking for the move on the final climb.
HTC are setting this finish up now for Michael Rogers to steal the jersey on the line, but I think Garmin's transitions are up to it here, because Zabriskie knows he could also win this stage as well here, because this is a strong man's finish. Still a little problem though, and flying his way up the road there is Ben Day, and it's a good gap. Can he hang on to it?
Well, there he is. He's not got very much advantage. The legs now, Phil, are starting to cry for surrender. They're saying, please stop the hurt. Get me out of this blocker at the moment, because this is extremely painful. Liquigas are riding on the front. All they want to do is pull this back together for their youngster, Peter Sagan, a great sprinter. He will be wearing the white jersey as the best young rider. 12 seconds. Well, I'm not sure it's 12 seconds. It's probably about 8 or 9 there. But still, this man, Ben Day from Australia, trying to survive off the front end of the main field. Bakersfield. The leader, Dave Zabriskie, very comfortably there with his teammates all around him. But watch out for this now, because we've got the big lead-out train starting to line themselves up for Team HTC Columbia.
He looks up momentarily, he looks down, he looks back, he gets on to drive. He's not so sure now because the pace is now stalking him back here. But you know, Zabriskie is lining himself up to win this stage in that leader's yellow jersey. And bet your life that Rogers will be locked in on him and trying to beat him. If he finishes in front of Zabriskie and they're in the first two, it'll be Rogers who takes the yellow jersey tonight.
Well, it looks as if the man who was in the breakaway, Mark Renshaw, did a big lead out there for the rest of the squad, and he's sat up now, and he's not going to win the stage here this afternoon. Is sliding back down the main field, but in third, fourth, fifth position, HTC Columbia. They're getting ready now for what's going to be a very important setup on the slopes of this climb. And Phil, there will be a number of attacks on this climb going upwards, because at the end of the day, these guys know there's a stage victory at hand, but there's also a race leader's yellow jersey at hand too.
Well, poor old Benday, caught there, swept away at the start of the final climb. This is now being set up for victory for either Zabriskie or Rogers.
Robbie Hunter from South Africa could think about a victory for himself this afternoon, but he's actually dedicating himself to looking after Dave Zabriskie. Look at this squad though, HTC Columbia. They are strong boys. They're now taking over the responsibility at the front end of the pack. I wonder if Mickey Rogers has got that in his legs this afternoon. Watch out for Levi Leipheimer, because he's got Popovic dragging him up along the side.
Well, Leipheimer is just there. Remember, if Rogers finishes in front of Zabriskie in the first two, the time bonuses will reverse the yellow jersey onto Rogers' shoulders. Zabriskie has worked this out, because Rogers snatched that 2-second time bonus in the 16th mile, or the 26th kilometre of the day at Lindsay. And look at this, Andy Schleck is sitting up again, the man who was second in the Tour de France.
Oh, he said this hurts a little bit too much for this time of the year. I think I'll take a back seat. The Kenda 1 kilometre to go sign now. They're going to go up there. They've got about 500 more metres before they take the left-hand switch back, and then they'll see the finish line in front of them. But it's still HTC Columbia in control at the front. They're trying to rattle the cage of Dave Zabriskie, but Zabriskie is too strong a bike rider for that to happen. He's in second place still.
Well, one thing's for sure, they kept this one under wraps. A nasty sting in the trail on today's stage as we come into Bakersfield. A great finish. Look at that picture now. Look at the face of Dave Zabriskie, and right on his wheel is Peter Sagan, the white jersey. This could be a very strong man sprint. Also there is Leipheimer, and also there is Rogers. He who wins could be in yellow.
Well, Peter Sagan is looking for a little bit too much time, 21 seconds, but at 20 years of age, he is looking for a victory here this afternoon, and he's in an ideal situation in third position. Mick Rogers is in fifth place. Sixth place is Levi Leipheimer, but still HTC are leading it out. They're starting to get a gap, and Dave Zabriskie said, right, I'm going for it myself.
This is the move for the line now, and Zabriskie, can he get his second stage win and increase his overall lead in the Amgen Tour of California as he races up to the line, or can Michael Rogers get out of that slipstream? Look at him, he's time trialing his way to the line here, but surely as he goes into a headwind, he's gone far too soon. This is going to be a gift, I think, for Peter Sagan. Sagan goes and kicks to the right of the road. Peter Sagan, I think, will walk this one now, but Zabriskie or Rogers as they come up to the line now. It is going to be Sagan snatching it on the line. Rogers gets second, Zabriskie gets third, and that for me makes Rogers the overall leader.
Correct.
Or on time they're equal.
Well, no, because there was 2 seconds time difference, and there's 10.64, so I think
it's the same.
It's going to be count back.
It goes to count back on stage position, so there might be a change of leader, but one thing's for sure, I think you're going to find two guys tonight are equal on time in the Tour of California.
Yeah, that's a 6-second time bonus there for Mick Rogers. He knew exactly what he had to do. But take remembrance of this name, though, Peter Sagan. This young kid here, he's certainly a star of the future. Mick Rogers did everything he could to do there to try and get himself the stage victory and the overall lead. But if he could have got first and second, that would have been different. As it happens, between second and third on the stage, there's only 2 seconds difference between those two riders. So at the end of today, we're going to have to count back to the places they finished on the previous stages.
Well, Zabriskie was forced to hit the front just too early there. It was a headwind finish off the top of that climb, so he was not going to have the strength to hold off the boys sat in his slipstream, and that's a little bit of a shame. So as we look around here now, we've arrived in Bakersfield. What a great finish that was. These boys are fighting for seconds in this year's Amgen Tour of California. And when we look at the overall, I think we're going to find 2 men at the top, absolutely equal on time, which means they go back to count back. There's no time trial when that would normally decide who is the leader. At the moment, it'll go back to the way they've crossed the finishing line over the past few days of the race. So that's going to be a difficult one. There's a little look at the finish, the order over the line. And that's probably Leipheimer who's got himself possibly in 4th place, but we're a bit past the line right now. We'll check that out, of course, in a moment. This has been a sensational finish, and what a day it has been. Out Lance Armstrong, and now it's possible we've got a new leader of the Tour. We're going to do a lot of maths here in very short shrift because this is all live. We'll bring you back the results, the podiums, and hopefully tell you who the new leader is. See you in a moment. Welcome back. We're looking down here on the finish in Bakersfield. We're just outside the main town itself and at the top of a hill, which all the riders now know. It's been a long journey today as we came in from Visalia. 196 kilometers or 122 miles the ride today. The breakaway got away very early on. They got wiped out just as they approached the finishing line. That really is the look of the draw. The judges down there run out of pencils now and fingers, and we're waiting for them to try and get a result onto our television computer, so we'll know what's happening. But there's no doubt who won the stage or got second or third. Sagan, Michael Rogers, Dave Zabriskie. 3 of those riders all sitting in the top 4 overall in this race, and Sagan with his small bonus has closed in. So that's made really with Levi Leipheimer this very much a wide open Amgen Tour of California, which may well not be decided till the final day in 1,000 Oaks. We're going to have a little quick look at the stage highlights so far before we finally reveal who has won, and that's when I know it. This was the sign-in this morning for the yellow jersey of Dave Zabriskie, first man to defend his title this week. Lance Armstrong, straight from the press conference, denying taking drugs to riding the race, and then the race finally got underway. One rider from Spider Tech came out late. Zabriskie leading them away from the town of Visalia, where we started there for the first time last year. This is the second time in. Then came the crash around the 13th kilometre, I believe it happened. And down went Lance Armstrong amongst a big bunch of riders. We didn't have a camera there, but a lot of riders went down. He fell on the side of his face there. And as he continued to rejoin the race, the blood started to come. And it was a wise decision because, you know, that could be a fractured skull. I'm not trying to put a damper on things. This was the state of Chechu Riviera. He fell very heavily. But there is Lance, wisely gone for x-rays. And very sad to see. And this coming on the back of all of the controversy of the morning, with Floyd Landis accusing a lot of people, including Lance and Johan Bruneel, Dave Zabriskie, all being involved in organised doping. Thing is, you can say anything you like these days in cycling, and the press think it's all true. Well, we'll find out as time goes on. Breakaway forms after about 38 miles today, containing 6 riders who stayed away for kilometre after kilometre, and it looked for a while they might succeed. The race split up. Mark Cavendish hasn't finished as I speak. He's still coming home off the back with the King of the Mountains, Ryan Anderson, and a big bunch of others, while the leaders here on Round Mountain Road were under pressure as the riders tried to break up the breakaway and go for goal themselves. The peloton just continued to stalk the leaders, holding them at around about 2 minutes. Over the top of the climb, it was Ben Day, followed by Mark Renshaw. Third man over there was Paul Mock. The peloton just rode it casually, but never allowing these boys too much leeway. The beauty of California there for all to see as we course through the states, right inland here now on the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Then came the attack, which tried to split up the breakaways. We headed towards the finishing line first time in Bakersfield. This is Mark Renshaw, former world champion on the track, pure speed in those legs, quick reaction from Ben Day, chased by Kurt Hooverlinks. 3 Pro Tour teams, no, not quite, because Ben isn't on the Pro Tour team, but they all got together. The other Pro Tour team rider, Rabobank there, getting up there was Neerman. All got caught, and Neerman had to go himself, quickly shadowed by Renshaw, followed by Ben Day. And this more or less saw the end of Will Dixon of Jello Belly. Enough was enough. Denvey then managed to see the end of just about everybody, because Mark Renshaw was the last to go, heading up towards the 1 lap left. Ben Day was on his own, trying to fly the flag here for Fly V Australia. Determined effort to cross the gap came from Jens Voigt on the final lap. But they were working hard now. They sensed the kill was only literally around the corner. And it all came to naught. First they got Jens, then they wiped out Ben Day. And there is poor old Ben being caught, and all that was left now was for the big boys to try for the stage win. But they knew split tyres could happen here, so you couldn't afford to let any gaps open between the wheels. The clock would stop. At the finishing line, it was a perfect lead out by Dave Zabriskie in the end. He was forced to go too early for the line. That's what hurt him. It's a headwind up the climb. And as soon as he saw the finishing line, Peter Sagan dived out the slipstream of Dave Zabriskie. And third was Zabriskie himself. Sorry about that, I'm losing my voice with the dust from the riders, but as they come over the line, Sagan gets his win. Second, Michael Rogers, and I think we can actually show you the stage result now. There's a little wheelie for you from Peter Sagan, the victor today. And there we are, the stage result. Sagan wins, some Rogers, who's confirmed, Zabriskie in third, Chris Horner it was, who came over in fourth, and Paul Martins from Rabobank taking the fifth place, all, of course, given the same time. Tony Martin getting in for HTC Columbia. Leipheimer, same time, that's what matters, in seventh place. No difference. Jens Voigt somehow hung on to ninth, that's amazing. Rory Sutherland into 10th. Brejkovic keeps his high overall position for Radio Shack in 11th today. Jakob Fuglsang, he was in the Lance Armstrong crash, but he remounted and finished 15th in the same time. Jürgen van der Velde in the break yesterday, he was 16th today. Peter Stetner's having a marvellous ride, this youngster on Garmin Transitions. He'll hold his high overall tonight as well. And there is the yellow jersey going on the shoulders now of Michael Rogers. So it's all count back. So the count back is in favour of Michael Rogers. That 2-second bonus today has been worth so much at Lindsay, because then he got ahead on the line. He made 2 seconds more in bonus time at the finish. Michael Rogers has given the jersey now to the American HTC Columbia team.
Well, a very important 2-second time bonus, Phil, out on the course for Mick Rogers, and that was a very important sprint for second place there as well, to drag him up to equal time. If there had been an individual time trial, it would have been the fraction of a second that had counted, but we haven't had one yet this year in the Amgen Tour of California, so it is the count back on stage placings.
A very, very happy man indeed now, the Australian from Canberra. Well, let's have a look at the Home Depot overall standings now, and look at that. We've got it right, at least from the commentary box. Equal on time. The two leaders split on points. Levi Leipheimer at 10 seconds, moved back a little bit. Peter Sagan's come up to 15 seconds with his win bonus today. Mark de Mar stays fifth. He's now at 28 seconds. Virtually all on time bonuses this. The other boys have dropped back to 31 seconds, but they're all still locked in the same positions which they occupied at the start of the day. But gone sadly from 12th position now is Armstrong, and in there is Jens Voigt. So let's have a look now at our Road ID ride of the day. And it's got to be Peter Sagan, I guess, because he got away to win the stage. This man is just 20 years of age, and just think he could be racing another 15 years' time. And that's a long career, to say the least. But he gets the victory today for team at Leaky Gas. And don't forget, if you think you can predict tomorrow's stage winner, then go on over to roadid.com/winner, and your chance to win $1,000 and be entered into the grand prize, which is a trip for two to the Tour de France this year. So, as we look down at Bakersfield, we'll take another quick break, and then we'll wrap everything up when you come back after this. See you in a moment. Well, it's certainly been an extraordinary day in the Amgen Tour of California. Today's stage presented by Rabobank. There's the face of a 20-year-old who's just stolen the stage from under the legs of some great bike riders today. Looks a bit pensive as Dave Zabriskie comes on. He's lost his maillot jaune tonight to the man on our left, Michael Rogers.
But it's still going to be a massive, great battle because first two riders in the overall standings, Phil, are locked together in exactly the same time, only separated on the countback of their positions on each individual stage so far. Going to set up to a great race tomorrow.
It is. I have to say Dave looks bitterly disappointed here, but hey, he's in a perfect position. He hasn't got a race to defend his yellow jersey now, so it's up to the team of HTC. He should start to feel pretty good. There's the Home Depot overall standings now. Rogers the new leader today. Zabriskie equal on time. Leipheimer at 10 seconds. Peter Sagan closes in to 15 seconds, stays in fourth. Mark de Meyer out to 28 seconds, but stays in fifth. The others all dropped to just over half a minute. Hejjedal is still there. Brekiewicz, the best placed behind Leipheimer for his team Radio Shack. Sutherland, Chris Horner is there, and Tommy D, Tom Danielson in 10th. Bit further down, Pete Stettner is having a wonderful tour, and he's still there in 11th place, second in the Young Rider competition. Steve Morabito completes the top 15 for BMC. Lucas Yusso, well, we heard about him today in our special Super Spider Tech. He's 17th, and Jurgen van der Wel is 20th. All right, let's have a look, Paul. Where do we go tomorrow? Tell us.
Well, it's going to be a very long day, the longest day. Moving away from Palmdale, not too far away from Los Angeles. It's all about this Big Bear Lake, and that's where the race is going to finish after 135 miles of racing. But really, Phil, what's more important is this profile, because this is atrocious. If you're going to get out on the bike tomorrow, you've got climbs almost immediately at the start to Mill Creek Summit. But I think everybody is concerned about what it's going to be climbing up to Great Bear Lake.
Well, as we look here, Stage 5 will re-air tonight, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. We'll have some exclusive interview as well from Johan Bruneel. Tomorrow's Stage 6 goes onward from Palmdale to Big Bear Lake. That comes to you live, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The re-air at the usual time of 11 p.m. Eastern as well. Now, let me also remind you that 10 o'clock Eastern on Versus tonight, the Daily Line will have more information for you on the Armstrong versus Landis case, and also hopefully an update on the condition of Lance Armstrong. Up next, it is Flyers versus Canadians in the NHL Stanley Cup. So that's something now to look forward to. Our clothing provided by Izod, and of course Versus.com will also keep you up to date with all the cycling comment. Well, it's been a very controversial day, but also a great day for competition in the Amgen Tour of California. Stay with us as this race continues to 1,000 lakes, and that all happens on Sunday. For Paul Sherwin, Bob Roll, everybody else in the event here, I'll say goodbye.